Jason, tell us a little bit about what we're about to witness and why this is becoming so popular in your mind.
Yes, thank you. And good morning to everybody out there listening and watching. This is great. Sonoma Raceway is absolutely beautiful. The cars right now are doing a warm-up lap. They just were released out on track, and typically these cars will do 1 or 2 warm-up laps, and then they're going to what we call a hot lap or a flyer. One thing that's different is that they're entering hitting the timing loop at speed, and what they're trying to do is they're chasing the perfect lap. They're going for the fastest lap time that they possibly can. The cars are built in such a manner not for longevity and not to go out there and even run for the full 15 or 20-minute sessions. They're really built to do...
You don't fill them with fuel, probably.
No, the Viper out there that we see right now on screen, Cable Rosenberg, I think during practice in the first session on Friday, he used all 12 gallons of fuel. All of it, and almost ran out of gas out there.
So this warm-up lap actually is... very important because you are trying to get up to temperature, brakes, tires.
Yes.
It's early morning, so that's going to be harder. And yet you're also trying to give yourself a little space so you're not having to, play overtake for a car that's maybe slower than you. I presume that you can overtake, but that is part of the game, isn't it? It's timing. It
is. It's open passing. We do release the cars, and we do group the cars by speed index. So as you see, Scott Speed went out position 1 because throughout the weekend so far, he's been the quickest car of the group. I think the second quickest car is James in the AMG. So he's the second one out, and we space him with enough of a gap, and we try to explain to the number 1 driver going out, to Scott, maintain that gap, have a decent warm-up lap speed, not too fast so we can get all the cars out on track. And again, like we talked about, people could feel out their gaps and give themselves the best opportunity to have a clean hot lap without any traffic. Now in this situation here, the truck is running 150. He's trying to break into the sub 150s. Scott's going 130.4 yesterday, so he is going to catch him. If he has to do 2 hot laps, he will catch him. So he'll have to contend with that.
What are the rules on how many laps you can do?
You could do as many as you want within the timed session. So I believe that this session's 20 minutes. So if the cars can handle it, they could do it over and over again. But you just rarely see that because, again, a true time attack car is built to the max. Like you're trying to go faster than you possibly ever could go. The rules are very relaxed, so it... you see a lot of innovation. It's not typical racing where these cars have to live in some type of, box or some type of horsepower limitations. There's absolutely no horsepower limitations. You could have an enthusiast class car or a street class car with, street tires on it and minimal aero. And if you wanted to have 800 horsepower on that build, that's up to you.
Wow.
The way that we try to level it out and regulate it is by the tires that they're allowed to use, stickiness, width, and of course how much aero they've applied to the car.
Well, the times are starting to come in, and Scott Speed has just done a 1:30.5. We haven't had a chance really to talk about Project Midnight. We'll see it soon. But Scott Speed obviously has got the ultimate car, really, literally purpose-built by Subaru, by Vermont Motorsport.
Yes.
And they built this absolute beast, 670 brake horsepower World Rally car. Basically, but a lot more than that. Lots of carbon fiber, huge rear wing, and it is built for speed, and that's what it's here doing. And at the moment, 1:30.5, and I'm sure he wants to break in that. Here's that truck you mentioned, Kevin Phillips at the wheel, Phillips Motorsport. What a unique way to go racing. He was his daily driver at one point.
It sure was. It sure was. And just, over time, he's just continued to turn it into a race truck, basically. And it's a great example of a full-on time attack build. If you have a chance to go take a look at this thing, or you can find him on Instagram, it's a beautiful build. It's built by a local fabricator, Riley, who's also here on site today, who's I think got 4 or 5 cars that he's building right now, all purpose built for time attack racing.
Well, here is that Subaru.
Yes, and yesterday, speaking with the Subaru team, they felt that their best chance to go sub 130 was going to be this morning. So
Just
hopefully we'll see it, right now.
And that really is because of the cooler air?
Yes.
And obviously, the tires probably last a little bit longer, won't slip around, it won't be as greasy out there.
Right. And their car, I believe, could probably do 2 or 3 hot laps with the way that thing's built, Again, being a purpose-built gravel car, is really what that thing is set up for. So
Yeah,
it is interesting to see how well they're doing.
Yeah, but they said when they built this, it was designed for the tarmac, Yokohama tires, which is very rare. As you say, Subaru prepare cars really for rally and gravel.
Yeah.
Scott Speed is ex-Formula One, ex-Rally Cross world champion, American champion. And there's no question that... as you can see, he's putting it through his paces.
He's pushing it,
really pushing it now. And if he's going to get under 130, he's going to have to do it in the next couple of laps or so. James Kirkham is not far behind in the Mercedes. He's in second place. He did a 136.7. Now, let's see what Scott comes up with here. He's into 11. God, he's almost going through third gear as he exits there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right, let's have a look at the times as he crosses the line again. Oh, 29.856. He's done it.
Love it. Love to see it. That is great. That's what they wanted to do.
That's the essence of this, isn't it?
Yes. This is great.
So Subaru can pack up tonight going, right, that's what your game done. And is that, if you like, part of the game is you set a goal and say, right, I think, given the circumstances, given what we've noticed in testing, given how we've prepared, we can try and go for this time. And so that makes it also a competition against yourself as well.
It definitely does. It sounds funny, but sometimes when I try to explain this to someone that really doesn't even know that much about motorsports, I'll compare it to golf, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah.
You're out there competing against other people, but you're also competing against yourself
Correct.
in the course with your equipment.
The day I stopped competing against everybody else and just wanted to get one really great shot that made me feel like Justin Rose, then that was a different day. Here's Robert Robles in that Studio RSR, nice BMW. Now, what class is that? That's
a street class car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we just were looking at the Subaru, much bigger wing. It had a rear diffuser. This does not. This car's not allowed to have a flat bottom, so it's much more of what you would consider something you'd see on the street.
Yeah. And I presume the rules for each and every one of the categories is different.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
So what can you modify on a street car, and where are the limits, as it were, to what you can do?
Like, let's say, for instance, you could add a front splitter, to your bumper, but it could only go 3 inches out in front from the furthest point of the car. The wing can't be higher than the roof line in that class. Of course, now you look at, let's say this car here, it's the class that it's in, GTX, it's allowed, which it might not here, but the wing could be higher than the roof line. The splitter could go out 10 inches.
Yeah, because it's a genuine race car,
Correct.
James Kirkham at the wheel of that. The BMW's slowing down, but that may be just to create himself some space, because he's just done his quicker lap. He went with a 1:45.3. So 29.856 is the time to beat that Scott Speed has put together. But I don't think anybody is expecting, certainly not Jason, him to be beaten as soon as it was announced that he would be part of this. What a great thing for your series, but also what a great advert for what you're all about, which is creating cars that are really designed just to do this time attack for one really quick lap.
Yes, definitely honored, and it's a beautiful build. Really happy that Subaru came out here and set a goal and were able to accomplish it. Again, that's a success story right there. And yes, it's great, as an organization to have a car like that here running with us, and of course Scott driving it, an amazing driver with his history and his talents, are definitely on display today.
So another street car here. Another BMW.
Yes, this is another car from the Studio RSR group.
And how big is your community now? Because I know that you do a lot of events across America, including places like COTA, here on the West Coast. How big is the community now?
Each of our events are a little bit different. Like we're somewhat of a support series at an event like this, which we also do that at Road Atlanta. The event that we do at Circuit of the Americas in April, that's an event where it's Time Attack as a star of that event, these cars, and we'll have a full field, 80 cars at that one, all competing for fastest lap times over the 6 classes. We've got a racing support series that comes in, GLTC from Grid Life, and breaks up the time attack sessions throughout the day. And we also have drifting at that one too. It's much more of a spectator friendly experience. And of course, you've been to Circuit of the Americas.
Yep.
It's an amazing facility.
Yeah, and I love the fact that Velocity are including this. You just met Jeffrey O'Neill, of course, who runs the event. And yeah, I think I like his style, which is, yeah, they're very prim and proper about the cars that come for historic, but there's room for hypercars, there's room for a time attack, and give something people, like you say, different to talk about and to get involved in. And I'm sure there's probably some casual watchers today going, maybe this is my way into motorsport.
Yes, and that's what this is all about, and it's great. And you could just see it on the fans' faces just walking around in the paddock that there's so many awesome cars and things to see and to look at and get close to. It's definitely a special weekend. I really like what they've put together here.
I was in the media center on Friday, and one of the photographers was giddy, quite literally, about all the cars out there, and he was going, this one, and he was telling me, the Mercedes is probably going to be the closest to this one, and I saw him in Monterey, and I did, not in Monterey, in the last event that he did, and yeah, it was great. So there is a genuine enthusiasm that is growing quickly for this sport.
Yes, and the thing is too is you touched on it right there. Most of the cars, not so much this one, of course, but are very relatable.
Yes.
Again, because they start off as street cars, so it might be something that you had before that you would like to get. So you'll have someone that's maybe a BMW enthusiast, and they'll go speak to the RSR guys. And of course the truck brings a lot of attention because it's so unique.
Well, let me ask you this. If there's somebody listening in and they're sitting there and their Subarus in the garage, or their Supras in the garage even, and they're thinking, you know what, I fancy a little bit of this, what do they have to do?
You could easily contact us on our website or through social media at Global Time Attack on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube, and you could also just email us. You could find any of our emails on the website pretty easy. Mine's simple. It's jd@globaltimeattack.com, and you can reach out to us if you want to find out, how to get started. If you've never tracked before, we could point you in the right direction.
And all the rules and regulations
are all on the website.
Specs are all there.
Yeah. We could help you find, get connected with your local track organizers and HPDE groups to get out there and get some seat time. Because that's really what it's all about.
Exactly.
You need to be comfortable and prove that you have enough seat time and open passing to where you can get out here and compete. That's another great thing about this sport too, that you find yourself out there competing against guys like James Kirkland here and Scott Speed, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, he's got an interesting story, James Kirkland, hasn't he? He's a big influencer on the internet.
Definitely.
And has really made a name for himself, particularly around AMG and Mercedes.
Yeah, it's great to see. Anybody that is able to generate, I'll say press or generate that much publicity for motorsports in general is always a great thing.
Really impressive. Well, we're still holding speed as the top man out there with that 29.856. James Kirkland, who we just mentioned, 4 race services, did a 33.1. So he's just done his best lap. That's really impressive. That's, I think, better than yesterday. Gabe Zamora behind him with a 38.8. So everybody's starting to, as you say, use these cooler conditions to create some really quick laps here.
Yeah, this is this is probably the money session for Global Time Attack today, because our next session isn't until maybe around 4-ish, which is going to be
hot.
Prime heat for the day. So this is really the time right now, as we've seen, with the Subaru car going sub 130s.
Back with Kirkham in the pink and black.
Another thing you'll notice is that, even just like right here, he was 2 off right there. You could go 3 off if possible and not have to come in. If you go 4 off,
so you're pretty lenient on that.
Because
there's no real advantage to be gained by going off, is there really? Unless you're missing the corner completely, straight lining it.
Correct. Of course, we don't want anybody cutting the track,
no.
And obviously. So if someone goes 4 off, we'll black flag them, bring them in so we can do a quick visual on the car,
and
make sure there's nothing hanging.
They just don't get the lap, right?
Correct. Well, yeah. And another thing, too, is if they're contesting corners with another driver, you're never going to get your fastest lap that way.
No, true.
So again, it becomes something of self-regulation, which you noticed earlier, where it's like, hey, maybe I'll back off a little bit and create some more space here, and then go at it.
How many events do you have now a year?
This year we had a little more than normal, 7, but I think next year it'll be 6.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good number. It's a manageable number.
We try to have a month and a half to 2 months in between each one, if possible.
Yeah, but and that's good for the pocketbook, too.
Yes,
you wouldn't want to be doing this every weekend, right?
For them and me, yeah.
And do you find it hard to fit in with, you know, obviously you want to be on a ticket with other events like Velocity here. Is it easy to find ways? Because you mentioned that you even got involved with Long Beach at one point.
Correct, yeah. It's we've definitely proved that it's possible and it works, and even like today is another proof of concept that we can come in and you know, not muck up the day for anybody.
Yeah.
We pride ourselves in being very organized and on time.
And I suppose you also, because as you well know, when you've got like group racing like this, there can be delays, there can be hold-ups. So you can also, you know, cater to that, and maybe if you need to be shorter or longer, you can be.
Yes, definitely. You know, a shorter session just really turns up the stress level for the drivers and the pressure. You know, even like we've thought about even like 10-minute sessions at certain tracks, so really they would only have the opportunity at max to do 2 hot laps if the cars could even handle it.
So, I mean, is there a sweet spot for the kind of car that you think that people should enter that is both economical yet has the possibility of being fast? I mean, this AMG we're looking at is not everybody's affordable car. So is there one that you would shout at to say that a lot of people are trying time attack with this particular car?
Gosh, you know what, over the years, recently we've seen a lot of newer Supras.
Okay, yeah. Beautiful car,
yeah. Nice car. They're pretty quick from the get-go.
And always quick, yeah.
See a lot of Supras. We're seeing more later model BMWs. We're also seeing older BMWs with newer BMW engines in them, or even with a Chevy, you know, crate motor in it. We've seen.
Because that, again, you're open on the rules on engines, right?
In the upper classes, like limited and unlimited, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, Ryan Turek was out with his Supra in practice on Friday. If you guys got a chance to see that, and I believe he's got a Judd V10 in that car.
Okay.
And I don't know if you heard it. It was very unique sounding, yes.
But as we discussed yesterday, it's all very well having multiples of power. You've got to actually control it, and you've actually got to get it around the circuit. So there comes a point at power and brake horsepower that really doesn't help you anymore, especially when the car is only as good as the car can be, as it were.
Right. And, of course, the driver mod is really the most key thing. Absolutely.
Well, they certainly brought a ringer in bringing in Mr. Speed. But how about this? James Kirkin improves again, a 133.3 this time.
Nice.
Sorry, he's just taken it down to a 132.9, so really impressive.
That is
now,
great.
Somebody sounded like they went round then.
It does sound like that. Let's see who that was.
Just heard the screech of tyres, and it's the Mercedes having just set his quickest time, a 132.966, but he's just coming out of that ball of dust.
Now, this is something that you see pretty often in our time attacks because, you know, they're out there driving 10-tenths. Yeah. And, you know, you will go off sometimes. It's kind of a nature of the sport. We haven't seen it as much during our sessions this weekend because we really stressed that we thought it was great for everybody to be out there as much as possible to show these cars and show what they do. But at the same time, you know, I'm contradicting myself, and it's but go as fast as you can.
Yeah, go as fast as you can. Yeah. But he's back out, and he's okay. Just a little bit of a off-track excursion. And as you can see, no harm to the beautiful number 11. And, yeah, it's the old story. You just do your fastest lap and then push it a little bit more, trying to get some extra out of it, and it's just not there. Kirkham currently in second. Gabe Zamora did a 137.1, just ahead of the Team Viper of Cable Rosenberg. And then the elite performance car of Gary Wong, Phillip Motorsports, Kevin Phillips in the truck. And then Robert Robles in the Studio RSR. 2 cars from there. Gary Peterson the other. And it looks as though that's about it for our time attack. But they've achieved what they wanted to do. Certainly Scott Speed and Subaru have. Well done to them. A 29.856 gives them what they wanted, which is to get under 130. Checkered flag is out. My thanks once again to Jason Deinhardt for coming in. Best of luck for the rest of the year. Please keep in touch. We'll see you at COTA, and we'll hopefully see you here next year. And coming up after the break, we'll have Group 1, 47 to 56 sports cars. Stay with us here at Velocity Invitational.